Welcome. In this series of short videos, we will give an introduction to those who have never used PowerBasic before or even considered taking up programming. Today we will look at workflow. What is it and how can you make use of it in your PowerBasic applications? So what is workflow? If you are developing a simple form application to record information, you may not need a workflow. However, if the form must pass through several distinct stages, perhaps for approval or refinement, then knowing what stage the form has reached is essential. The form may pass through the hands of several people or teams, and those that raise a form would be keen to know what stage the form is currently at. Think about the progress of the form to be like an assembly line at a factory, where it needs to follow a predefined route through the factory to be successfully completed. Today we will look at just such a form and what stages it might progress through. Since we are designing the processing of a form through a system, it always helps to document this process right from the beginning. There are many tools that will assist you in this endeavour, from mind mapping tools to flowchart diagramming tools. Today I'm going to be using one called Knowledgebase Builder to allow us to work out the path of our form through the system. Let's say we are mapping part of the recruitment process of someone joining a large organisation, following the end of the recruitment process. Once the organisation has established who the job is to go to and when the start date will be, then a form can be created to capture key details of the equipment they will need to perform their role in the organisation. It's likely that this request will be raised by the hiring manager or line manager of the new start. Our new start form will have a number of distinct stages, which will be referred to as the workflow status. Some of these stages may be decision points, and some may trigger parallel processes with their own workflow status. This could be, for example, to inform many teams or automated processes to create accounts for the new start, perhaps network or email accounts. What we will concentrate on is the request for new equipment. With structured procurement systems, you'll expect those wishing new equipment to select from a predefined catalogue. This catalogue containing all the types of equipment that your organisation can successfully support. However, there will need to be a way for staff to request something that is not on the catalogue. This to allow purchase of needed equipment. Such requests may well have their own special workflow process and stages. Let's assume that the hiring manager is going to be requesting something that is on the standard catalogue. Our dataset for the form would include some key pieces of information like who is raising the request, the date and time the form has been raised, who the equipment is for, a reference to the catalogue item, whose budget is paying for this, and finally, a reference to the current workflow status of the request. Let's call it raised. Now that our form has reached the raised state, then the next state may be some sort of business approval, where it is passed to a senior member of staff to authorise the purchase. In business, such controls are in place to ensure that there is a business need for such items. So here we need two additional workflow states: awaiting business approval and business approved. As the form reaches each of these workflow states, the form's dataset can be updated to record the current workflow status. In addition, the date and time that the form reached each workflow state should be recorded as part of an audit trail, for reporting purposes. Following the business approval, the next workflow status could involve a financial approval. Here too, we will need two additional workflow states: awaiting financial approval and finance approved. Of course, there is always the possibility that one of these approval steps is denied by the approver. So we will need two additional workflow states to take care of this: business approval denied and finance approval denied. Once denied, the workflow will likely end, and the form raiser will receive the bad news. Following the finance approval, the form will likely pass to someone to procure. And here again we have two new workflow statuses: awaiting procurement and procured. Once procured, the request will likely move on to the build and deploy workflow status, where, assuming that it is a computer, it will be configured and have standard software installed. Having an audit trail to record when each of these workflow stages has been reached gives several benefits. Firstly, it allows those involved with the request to see at what stage the request is currently at. Secondly, it allows reporting on how long the entire journey took and the duration of each stage. This can be used to highlight where there are issues and delays in the workflow pipeline. Thinking through the stages of your workflow before starting any coding is always a benefit, as you end up with a good understanding of what is required. As such, workflows will involve multiple teams of staff spread across several departments. Your workflow diagram can be shared so that all of those involved understand the whole process. From a developer's point of view, having details of each workflow stage will allow the dataset needed for this process to be defined, thus saving the issue of trying to retrofit a new workflow stage later on in the process. And all this information should form the cornerstone of your documentation of the system, even if it embodies multiple workflows. Documentation should never be the first casualty of development. Hopefully you'll find these concepts useful in your development work. But that's it for today. Thank you for watching.